So my, I guess, first question is who's actually been using it? Because
I did right at the beginning, and then I got into like projects, and so I can't remember the last time I actually accessed it, but I did when you first launched it, I went through absolutely everything.
yeah,
So yeah.
okay, cool. I mean, that kind of is the point of it. If you've kind of, used it to get things set up how you want them to be, and then you're off, then, I'm happy my work here is done. I mean, since then I have updated it so it's chat GPT focused as well as Claude, and I've put a bit more in about like brand voice and messaging and stuff like that. So and what I'm going to be, hi Anna, nice to see you, it's been a while.
Glad to
um
be here. Thank
yeah,
you. It's been a long time.
it has been, yeah. um so what I'm going to do today, so how I thought, I've allowed an hour and a half, see how we go, it doesn't have to be that long. But what I thought, first part of it is I'm going to just like roll things back a tiny bit and talk a little bit about sales and messaging and stuff like that, and kind of like why we want to use AI, because I've been guilty of this as well. I think in all the excitement of the potential and the fact that it's like I can put it in and it will just like write all this stuff for me, sort of lose sight a bit of the fundamentals of like, what's it writing? Why is it writing for me? Like, what's the messaging here? Who am I speaking to? How am I using this as part of my sales process? All that kind of stuff. So I just want to touch on that initially to kind of, yeah, to just, I think, connect the threads a little bit, because in all the heady rush of excitement, I think we've kind of lost sight. Well, I did for a while, so I'm doing this for me as well, to be honest. And then I'm going to go through just a couple of like the key pieces that I've created in Claude and in Chat GPT. So like the workflows, some custom GPTs. So kind of the nuts and bolts. I'm not going to like do loads, obviously, because you've got it all in there. So you can watch the videos. You don't need me to do that again for you. But I do want to touch on, just kind of some of the high level pieces and how I've kind of put it all together. And then I will open it up for questions, or if you want to kind of implement or whatever you guys want to do. So I'm kind of flexible when we get there. Um, so before I begin, do we have any questions? Can you share the link to access it? So it should be in your portal, Anna, when you've logged in. Yeah. Mm.
Kathy, quick question.
Yeah.
Are we looking at ChatGPT or are we looking at Claude?
I'm going to do both. I'm going to touch on
Lovely.
both. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Because both of them are in there now. That's all right, Hannah. I mean, the reason being, so obviously when I launched this in the summer, I was like, oh my God, Claude's amazing. And it is. I still think it's better at brand voice. But they throttle the use so much that it kind of becomes unworkable sometimes. So I was like, right, let's go back to chat. And chat's very usable. It not as, I think they've improved. So they're they're constantly sort of, it's like an arms race, isn't it, really? And what I'm all about here is like the tools incidental, really, is the fundamentals. And I don't really care what tool anyone uses, as long as like the principles can be applied. So that's kind of what I've been aiming for. All right, so I'll just quickly grab the login for you. You might need to, this is just like the general login. You might need to reset your password, something, but just pop that in the chat and then we will get going. Oh, okay, cool. All right, so right, I'm going to share my screen. We all good? Now, my experience with Zoom is once I've shared my screen, I just can't see things half the time. So if you are asking questions or trying to get my attention, I apologize if I don't see you straight away. Um, and I also apologize that I've just created a really ugly Google document because I haven't had time to make this pretty. So I've got my ideas out. Done is better than perfect, right? So like I said, what I want to do today is go through Copywriter in Your Pocket and show you some of how it works at a high level. But I also just want to touch on these three pillars that I think are really, really important, and how and why they kind of connect to using AI, whether you're using my tool or, you know, whatever you're using, or even like writing for yourself, you know, even if you want to go back and like write stuff for yourself, these pillars are still like foundational. Um, so obviously sales, lifeblood of your business. Without them, you haven't got much going on. Messaging, to make sure that you're communicating with your audience in a way that lands with them, that's attracting the right people, all that kind of stuff. And then authority. And I think this is the piece that people think about most with AI. It's kind of like, how can I just be everywhere? How can I, like, you know, write lots of content and get it out there? And that piece is great. But if you don't have these two pieces as well, it just ends up being like if AI is an amplifier, a bit like ads, right? Like my ad friend. If it can amplify your message, but if your message isn't right, then it's kind of not going to help you anyway. It's just going to create more noise. So AI is a tool to amplify your message. I've got ahead of myself. But if you don't have a good sales process behind the scene, it's a fast track to burnout. Now, I've always been quite good at sales, but I've not been that sort of had too much of a system about it. But over the last few months, I've been getting much more focused on creating a system. And what I've realized through doing this is that with our marketing, you know, we're kind of like constantly putting out our content and talking at people and making offers and, you know, sharing this and sharing that. But without like a proper nurturing sales process that allows you to have conversations with people, it can just get a bit kind of one way, and it's, you don't know if it's landing, and it can kind of just like, I've spoken to people and they're just like, I'm tired of putting stuff out there. I don't know, it's not working, I don't know why. And that's because you do need like a sales process. So I would say these two pieces here, where you're having conversations, like you're talking to people, whether it's on calls, whether it's in the DMs, that allows you to be adaptable. So like if you know what your stuff is and you're speaking to someone, it's much easier to be like, you know what, you're telling me this is what you need help with. Here's how I can help you. It doesn't have to be a sales page. It doesn't have to be this like perfectly crafted offer that you've, you know, got on your website. It allows you to be a bit more adaptable, and, you know, create offers on the fly behind the scenes. So these two pieces aren't AI particularly. I think these are the pieces we need to do. But you still need to put your offers out there. You still need to do your marketing, right? And AI tools allow you to quickly come up with new ideas, articulate them, write those sales pages, and put them out there and test those ideas with your audience. And so those two pieces together is where you can really start getting some traction, because you can put offers out, people are going to be interested, you can talk to them, you can then maybe adapt behind the scenes. So this piece of it, that's one of the workflows I'll be sharing, is the sales page workflow, like getting an idea and turning it into a sales page very quickly, because obviously we still love that AI does things for us in moments instead of having to sit there and try and get it done over days or weeks. And then the messaging piece, like I mentioned, AI is a tool to help you like create lots of content at scale. But if you don't have a coherent message, it's another shiny object that's just, it's not really going to help. So I don't know, does this resonate with anyone? I'm just going to stop there. Is anyone experiencing this? Is like with AI or without AI?
Yes, it's definitely resonating for me, Kathy.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, just talking, sending out emails and everything, and certainly it feels like, you know, brick wall, because
Yeah.
there's nothing coming back. So yeah, that's it's very much resonating for me.
Yeah. I mean, oh, there's some more people. And it can be really disheartening as well, because you just feel like you're shouting into the void, and if nobody's kind of getting back to you, then you're just like, well, and all the AI in the world's not going to help that problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, sorry, I'm going to read the sentence out because I like it. It
You
doesn't
know what,
consent without
Kathy, I
it.
was kind of, can
Yeah.
I add something, Kathy? So, and hi, it's good to
And
see you
hi.
again.
Yeah.
It's funny because I feel like I write good on my own, but with AI, I don't write good. Like I get way more traction with my own personality and
Yep.
typing and doing it. And then it doesn't, even when I feel like I'm training the AI, it doesn't seem like I don't know, it's not as authentic sounding. It still sounds a little robotic. I don't know if that's just
Yeah.
me. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to look at that. That's one of the pieces I'll be looking at today, is like the whole brand voice thing. Because it is important, like it's got to be authentic and sound like you. And I guess I would caveat that with saying that it depends where your expectations are. So I would never expect it to be like 100% on, like on brand, on point, as a first draft. Like you want to get it so it's like 75, 80%, and then you finish it off. And the way I like to think about it is it's like a junior copywriter. It's like if you hired someone to do the copy for you, and I've been that copywriter, and sometimes you get it right, and the client's like, "Oh my god, you nailed that," and it feels good. And then the next time you don't get 100%, they're like, "That wasn't quite right," and it's just like, "Oh my god," because it's hard. It's really hard to do voice. So yeah, I will touch on that. I mean, that's part of what I'll be going through. But yeah, I think maybe it's about aligning expectations a little bit again. Okay, so sorry, was there anything else from anyone before I move on?
There's something in the chat.
Yeah, so Deep is saying it took me a bit, but I had to upload a lot of my own original work into the project. The other thing I do is ask Claude to give bullet points. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to be going through today. Like you need to give it all your core content. And then I probably won't do this today, but certainly in the training, there's something called like the feedback loop method, which is just a fancy way of saying you edit what it's given you, and then you put it back in and say, you wrote this, here's my finished piece, compare the two, and like train yourself on my voice with this. And it does tend to then get better.
Yeah, and Kathy, I want to praise you for that, because that feedback loop, I learned it from you. I started using it, and it's like so working so brilliantly. I'm using it for my Polish stuff, so it was even more amazing to see that actually ChatGPT can write really good Polish in my own like style of how I speak and create content. So exactly like I feed it with I am asking it for the version, then I'm writing my final version and I upload it and I ask it to like analyze and learn from that. So thank you. Kudos to you.
Oh, yay. I'm glad that's working, and in multiple languages. Amazing. Anna, yes.
Just lowering the hand there. Thank you, Kathy. I have just a quick question based on the previous question of uploading our original copy and stuff. So I haven't used Claude. I'm excited to learn a little bit more from you today on that. I've just used ChatGPT. This is my question. On settings, I have clicked off the button so it says don't share what I kind of put into it as for learning for others, because we have to protect our, let's say copyright and things like this. To your knowledge, is that enough to do? Because if we're putting original, let's say, because I'm also an author, so for me it's really important that whenever I share anything that I've originally originated, it's not used and repeated.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Am I correct with having done that on the settings?
I mean, I think so. I don't know. I don't. No one knows. I guess we can only go off what they tell us. And I think one of the differences, and Deepa, I think you've looked into this. One of the differences with Claude versus Chat is that I think Claude's privacy settings are a bit more transparent. So have a look. But I think with Claude, it's like you're automatically opted out of sharing your stuff, whereas with ChatGPT, you've had to go in and manually
Right.
opt out of that. But I think they do both say that they don't use inputs to train the language models. They train it from the internet, like from publicly available. But
Right. Okay.
you know,
It's just a
it's all
question,
yeah,
because if we're uploading original content, obviously it just got me a little bit
yeah,
concerned a while back, and that's why I Googled how to do that. But okay, fair enough. Thank you.
yeah, yeah.
And you also have to check regularly when they do updates because it will often go back to sharing. So just remember to check it regularly.
Is that
Awesome.
chat?
Yeah, that's chat. I've had it happen to me several times, gone back in, and it's actually gone back to opting in.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, thank
Mm,
you.
And
And
I have just had that experience with a friend of mine. We went in, made the change, came out, and I said to him, double check. And ChatGPT had turned it back on.
that's dodgy, isn't it?
Mm.
But have you checked? Because I know maybe you like to look into these things. Did you? Because you looked into Claude, was it you? I'm sure I did, but I don't want to give out bad information. So obviously, do your own research. But I thought Claude, yeah, doesn't you don't have to opt out. It just automatically does it, as in like keeps it that it's not using your stuff.
Yeah, Claude, I need to double check
Yeah.
because I read someone's article in LinkedIn the other day, and
Mhm.
I know I saw it as part of ChatGPT's response to a question I'd asked it.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
just
I
beware.
think, yeah, I mean, I think, but that's on LinkedIn, right? So that's published.
Yeah,
Um,
but ChatGPT, yeah, that's true. Actually, it could still be okay because
yeah.
Chat ChatGPT would have looked at the internet, quote unquote.
Well, this is it. It
Yeah.
will go. Yeah, I don't because they say they're not using it to. Oh, I don't know. It's really murky and confusing, and I have to be honest, I don't really understand it. But I mean, I think increasingly the lines are getting blurred between AI and like the internet anyway, like in terms of internet search and stuff like that. So, I think I guess anything that's out there published, it's going to pull in. But yeah, the question I guess is anything you upload, is that um
so
anyway.
anything on your website or if you don't want it crawled by robots, you need to put in some robot text, which is a bit complicated. But if you have Yoast Premium, you can do it. There is a way of following their articles and doing it, which I've done on mine. So it was interesting when I went on ChatGPT and asked it to crawl my website and critique it for me and
Mhm.
tell me where it was misaligned because I wanted to understand. It actually said it couldn't do it, so I had to upload PDFs of each of my pages for it to then critique.
But
So
if
my
you've done
robot,
that,
yeah, so it proved
then
it was working.
it is
So
working.
yeah, but I've done it on other websites. I've said, because I use SketchWow. I don't know if anybody's used that, which is AI generated as well, and it does graphics for you, and it's brilliant. But say you want a model, I want a model sometimes, and I'll go and put a page in where it's really well defined, and it'll pull it. But if that person hasn't put robot text in the background, it will be able to do it. So you've got to put in a specific text in your back of your website to stop it being crawled.
Yeah, but if your website's not being crawled, then Google can't find it.
Is that, well, it stops it in a certain way, and I don't know how, because Google's got mine, so
Okay.
don't know. So I don't know. It's a specific type of text you put in.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Um. Okay. Cool. All right. Just having a little combo. I'll leave you guys to it. Can you explain that again? What is ChatGPT doing? Okay. All right. Ah! These questions? No, you're just talking. Cool. All right. So, what was I up to? All right. So, in terms of messaging, coming back to messaging. Now, if anyone who's been in my world a while, I've been talking about this way before AI came onto the scene because this is fundamentals of like writing copy that connects with your audience. And again, with AI, you don't want to lose sight of this. And I think potentially the problem is worse because AI is just regurgitating stuff that it's taken from the internet, which is why all those like ChatGPT tells come up all the time. That's copywriters' fault. All those words like unleash and here's the kicker, and I don't know, all those phrases that it's just like, oh God, that's just ChatGPT. Is because it's trained itself on all the sales pages and all the like copywriting power words that people have been using. And they were so common, this is my theory, they're so common that it's just come in and become like the sort of default for copy and content. And so again, it's like a feedback loop, but it's not a good one in this case. So it's been trained on the internet, and if you are just relying on it to pull that information about your clients, it's just going to be regurgitating that really high level stuff that isn't really going to serve you or your clients. So you need to get obsessive about your clients' language, understanding their pain points and their desires. And this is what everyone should have been, this has been going on way before AI. And this is what I used to teach people, because if you're using language and ideas from your audience, it will trigger or spark ideas that are unique, because you're basically having a conversation. You're answering questions, you're thinking about it in the way that they talk about it, instead of the kind of the language that you might use that might be a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, but a bit more kind of generic. So even though we're using AI, this is a really important piece. So I'll dig into this in a little bit in a second, but this is real key to getting your messaging right. And then you want to create what is belief shifting content. So inside Copywriter in your pocket, or I think Nicholas said you got some like LinkedIn frameworks. Like you can upload frameworks, any frameworks, and ask it to follow them. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is move people from point A to point B. Point A is like where they're at right now, whatever their problem is. Point B is the solution. And I think it might, it's not this simple. There's lots of nuances and stuff around this, but ultimately it comes down to belief. Do they believe that you can get them to where they want to be? So, think about, any offer or promise or thing that you've bought. You'll buy it if you believe that it's going to get you the result that you want. And that's basically the job of your copy and your content, is to break down any objections they've got to that point of going, yeah, okay, I do believe that you can help me. And the other piece I think is really important is that they're happy to go on that journey that you're proposing to get them there. So like an analogy can be if you're going on a holiday and you want to go to, I'm in the UK, let's say I want to go to Mauritius. And I sign up with a company and I believe that they're going to get me to Mauritius. I'm happy with that. But do I want to go like direct flight? Do I want to take a boat there? Do I, is it going to be a sailboat? Is it going to be a cruise? Do I have to walk? Is it about riding a bike and then swimming, So that journey, which is like the how of your offer. I know loads of messaging coaches talk about how people don't buy the they don't buy the thing. Oh, my brain's not working. They only buy the solution. Like they buy the point B. They don't really care about the what. And I don't agree, because I think we do care, because that's part of the problem. I mean, I think we've all got experiences where we've been sold a promise or a dream. And yes, maybe you can get there, but what you're asked to do isn't in alignment or whatever it is. And so that piece is also important. And I think the nub of it all is these two things. And that's the kind of belief shifting content. And if you can get those bits right, and it's not as simple as I'm making it sound, obviously, but that's where your messaging is really going to come together. And then your authority ecosystem. So like we've been talking, AI is a tool that can amplify your message when you've got all these pieces in place correctly. And now this is where, once you've got it all set up, yes, you can go crazy, and it's amazing. And one of the pieces that I'm moving into more this year, and I'm helping some people to do, is more long form content, to kind of go onto different platforms. So things like Substack and LinkedIn, articles, And the good thing about long form content is it often has more longevity, so it sticks around longer. And it allows you to really like tease apart and go deep into your ideas and your message. And AI can still help you with this, because that's the beauty of it. Like, you can give it all the pieces, and this is how I work with it, because I'm a certain age and my brain is just like most days. And so I'm like, here's this idea, here's this idea, here's this thing I know, here's this client feedback. Can you put them all together and write something for me? And that would be my starting point more often than not. And that would be a first draft that I'm like, okay, I can work with this now, you know. And then obviously you still want, ideally in this like ecosystem, social media content, because that's how you stay top of mind. And then this coming back to like sales cycle, you're putting out your marketing content, you're doing your authority pieces, the long form, you can do your short form content. And then when you're having conversations with people as part of the sales process, the stuff that they're telling you then goes back into your marketing content, like a feedback loop. And I just like an experience I just had yesterday was like, I was chatting in the DMs to someone and we were talking about a particular offer, and they were like, I'm not sure about that actually. I was actually thinking about this other thing. We had not spoken about that other offer in our conversation, but she's seen it in my marketing. So it just, like, this ecosystem can really like start to pick up steam when you're kind of putting AI together with your relationship building sales stuff. Okay, I think that's my overview done. Do we have any questions? My brain is like that too. Yes, I think we can all relate, can't we? Have I missed anything? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is start like going into the nuts and bolts. But before I do that, any questions, comments, anything that we want to say? Alrighty, cool. Okay, I need this thing. It keeps popping back up. Okay, so messaging is really the main piece here. And if you've got inside the course, it's pretty much this module here, phase 2, about doing the voice. So I'm not going to go through this in all massive detail because it's all there for you to go through. But in essence, this piece is super important. And this is kind of like the foundation that everything else comes off. And there's like 3 main elements. So the core content, which is the piece we were talking about. This is, you want to gather stuff that you've written previously that you're like, that sounds like me, I'm really happy with it. Or it could be content that like really resonated with your audience. So like maybe you've got a social media post that loads of people like commented on, resonated with. It doesn't have to be sales copy particularly, you know. It could be like an email that you sent out that you're like, oh my God, I love that. I'm so proud of that. So just starting with the stuff that you really think that sounds like me. I know that some people come to me and they're like, I don't really have that. I don't love writing and I don't really have stuff that I've written that I feel that happy with. So what you can do is start with audio. So I've put some prompts in there. You can answer some questions, record it on your phone, transcribe it, tidy it up, and that can be your starting point. And then as you're sort of progressing with your AI, again, the feedback loop. So if I've found that it quite often writes better than I can now. Most of the time, I'm like, that's what I was trying to say. Thank you. I couldn't quite get there. And so, as you kind of get, and if like Claude or Chat write something that you love, put that in as part of your core content. It doesn't matter if you've not written it, as long as your gut check. I'm kind of contradicting myself a bit here, but it's not going to write something that you really like until you've worked with it for a bit, I guess is what I'm saying. So then the next piece is brand stories. And so again, these are pieces that you need to either write yourself. You've probably got stuff. It can, might have stuff on your website, or again, audio notes if you need to. But these are, why you started your business, anything about your values, like all the personal stuff that makes you you and that makes your business you, that ChatGPT or Claude are going to have no idea about unless you tell them. And again, start with what you've got and you can build it up over time. I keep adding to my story bank. If there's something that happens and there's a particular thing, I'll just like add that in to my story bank as like a sort of an everyday story, or like snippets of ideas that come to me during the day. I used to like write them down or do an audio note and then be like, right, later on I'll sit down, I'll turn that into a piece of content, which I probably never did most of the time unless I was feeling particularly inspired. Whereas now I'm like, oh, here's my little snippet of an idea. And again, I'll have days where I'm like, I want to talk about this thing. Like I want to like talk about the thing. What happened was that, and then we did this. And can you like wrap that up and then make it relevant to this particular offer? And Claude then will go and will write something for me. And again, it doesn't always, well, most of the time it doesn't get 100% right, but it gets through that block of the blank page. And like storytelling is super important, and AI can help you with that. I don't care what anyone says, it can. And then the third piece is the messaging matrix, which is coming back to like what your audience is thinking and saying. So I've got a process that I take you through in the course where you create that. You've got your collection of all the language from your audience, and you feed that into your system. And I will just reiterate this one more time. These three pieces are the bits that need to not be AI generated. So I honestly truly believe this. There aren't any shortcuts. If you use AI to create because I've seen people doing this, a list of like, here's my ideal client, what are they thinking or feeling? And then that becomes your like client language, is just, again, it's that negative feedback loop of the wrong sort. So how do people feel about that? Has anyone done this or parts of this? Yeah. Nicola, you get a gold star.
So I was just going to add into this, Kathy, that having the Chat GPT or the Claude one on your phone is brilliant because you can talk into it. So if you're walking out the dog or whatever, and you come up with an idea for a thing, you could just stick it in there straight away, and really saves you time and
oh God,
effort.
Yeah. And because Claude, and I'm going to show this in a sec, but because Claude works so well with the projects, I mean, I've done this, I think I've done some videos about it. I've loaded up like my sales page framework and then been walking to the bus and being like, oh God, I've had an idea for an offer. So I'm like, so I'm thinking about this. Can you write me a sales page using the like group program sales page framework? And then I'll just look at it and it's just like just writing it, and then it's like done. And then I'm like, okay, can you give me some piece of content to promote it now? And it just means that next time I sit down, I've got that as a starting point, and I haven't, like you say, I haven't lost the idea, because we all get ideas walking, right, instead of sitting at our desks. So having a way to capture it and to get it to write it in the moment is dare I say it, game changing. The risk of sounding like ChatGPT. Okay, do we have any questions?
Kathy, when you're talking to your Claude while walking the dog, is it putting it into the copywriter in your pocket project, or is it just general kind of?
So no, it's basically, so you have well, I'll show you actually. So here's Claude. And so obviously this is the project, and then this here is the chat. So when you're on your phone, there is an option to make sure that you've chosen the right project so that you're in the project. But then basically it's just a voice note. So you're recording a voice note in the chat, and then you hit go and it transcribes it and turns it into a prompt, is essentially what's happening. It seems like magic, but it's nothing more than just like a audio note transcription. But it's working here in the chat side of things, and then you can reference whatever you've got in your project knowledge. Does that make sense? Okay. Were there any other questions? Where's the chat gone? Need to use Claude more. Yeah, I still think I agree. I still think Claude does a better job of language. It does. It's just unfortunate that after you've done a few, it's like you can come back in 4 hours, which is like, well, it's not very helpful.
I'm still getting garbled responses, and so I go to the earlier models now when I do it, but I've gone to ChatGPT most of the time.
Okay, that's interesting. I did find that when they switched to this one, it was going a bit, I went in one day and I was like, oh my God, it's not working anymore. And I think I switched to an earlier model and it seemed okay. But also I just like some brute force was just like, no, write it again, use my brand voice, write it again. And then I think I eventually just copied and pasted my brand voice into that particular
Yeah.
chat, and that kind of sort of knocked it.
Yeah, and then the other thing I've noticed with ChatGPT is if you sometimes go back into a conversation that was a few back, say like 3 days, 4 days. I don't know what they do, but I can't get back in it. But then if I go in the mobile version, I can see it. So then I have to just copy it all and send it to myself to then get it to. And I
Is
was
that
just
in
like,
chat?
this is so annoying
Is that
because I
in
can
chat
see it in
or in
one and not the other.
is that in chat or in Claude?
That's in chat. I'm just like, oh, how can you be so annoying?
I found that it's a little bit glitchy. Oh, sorry, I can't see all the. I'll come back to them. So like, I've got I've got the projects here. Sometimes I come in and it's like all disappeared, and I'm like, oh, that's not very helpful. But I found if I log out, log back in, it reappears. So maybe try that. I just think it can be a little bit glitchy sometimes. Um, okay. Sorry, were there any other questions, or should I keep going? I'm not very good at the Zoom thing. I can't. There's too many.
I had a quick question, Kathy.
Yes.
Is Claude the version you use free or do you pay?
No, I pay for both.
Got it. Okay. I pay for ChatGPT, so I'll check out Claude after. Thank you.
So the free
I
version
have,
of Claude doesn't give you the project.
I just looked that up. Claude Free doesn't have it, as Kathy said. Projects are only available on the paid pro subscription or the team subscription.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's worth it. I mean, I've only had Claude for a while, but now I just pay for both. And then I've got one other one I pay for, but I'm trying to rein myself in. Are you saying using the same chat in GPT or Claude? No, yeah, I use the projects. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to show you that as well in a sec. I wrote a fab blog post using chat after doing 6 minutes of voice notes while I walked to the gym. Love it. And then what you can do, Erin, is inside, and I don't know if you've done this already, but so these are all I'm sort of jumping around a bit, so I apologize, but these are all the frameworks that you get with the course. And in the websites tab, I've got a whole little workflow and frameworks and stuff to help with like keywords and like optimizing your blog post. So like getting it to put the keywords and the headings and all that kind of stuff. So if you've not done that, Erin, and you want to, the option is there. Okay, sorry. Come back here. Use a mobile version to capture stuff in the early hours when my mind is active. Yeah. Yeah. Do it. Install it. It's amazing. I asked chat to outline something and then ask them both to write it, and then I choose what I want to use. Yeah, I sometimes go back and forth between them because they do it slightly differently until particularly when again it's that thing where you kind of on a gut level what you want to say, but until you read it you're not like, so it's like, right, you write it and now you write it and now like take that piece and put them together. Give my astrology details, human design, and Myers-Briggs. So I get oh, that's a cool idea. Love it.
So the reason I've done it is if you ask it to create any kind of campaign, it gives you like ideas that I would recoil at, because that's not how I want to work. That's not how I want to come across. So I'll tell you a couple of other things I've done as well. So I've fed it like my astrology details, my human design. So I'm a projector in human design, and my Myers-Briggs, I'm an INFJ. So a lot of its suggestions just repulsed me. So when I had done that, and I said, do like build me a campaign, I always ask it to do that based on who I am as a human. And what comes out is like, yeah, like that. I even, right at the very, very beginning, I think when I first used your course, I was going through kind of like a reinvention of myself. I decided I didn't want to do what I was doing. And I had started putting some stuff together, and I thought, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. That really resonates. But I thought, why don't I ask it to tell me, based on all of that, what I could be doing as a career? And like my idea was there, and I was like, yes, thank you, God.
Yeah, nice validation.
And now the other thing I've done is I've picked up an astrology GPT, and I fed it all my details again. And I've said, here's what I'm doing. Tell me for 2025 and 2026, when are the best times for me to do this, this, and this? Like all these dates come up, and I go, cool, like why? And then it does it again. So,
Cool.
I think if we really start to think about who we are as a human and how we want to do things, and obviously we can make our own decisions. But I've got all these dates that have come up, and I'm like, love it. Yeah. So yeah, I think it makes a real difference if you let it know who you are.
I think that's a really good tip. I really like that. Because I think that's the trick here with it. It's like it's a tool, it's a machine. So and it's uncanny because it does kind of feel a bit like it's a person. I've resisted naming mine. I know lots of people like to give them names, and I do this. I don't know why. I'm just not comfortable with it. But yeah, so I think it's about like keeping it in perspective, right? Although it feels a certain way, it is a tool, it is a machine. And how can we sort of like harness what it's good at while still keeping the pieces that we're good at, and the bits that are important to us. So yeah, thank you. That was really interesting. I'm going to try that. Okay, so we've got our three kind of core pieces here, and then we've got the custom instructions, and this is where you can build a library of word and phrases that you want it to avoid. Again, in my experience, Claude is really, really good at paying attention to this. Chat, I don't know. Depends what mood it's in. I don't know what it is. Some days it does, some days it doesn't. So that's why I've built out the brand voice guide for you. And I do recommend, although it might seem like a bit of a faff to have everything in a Google document, it just means, I mean, it's in there anyway, I suppose, in chat, but you can always just grab stuff and just remind it. So if it's not doing what you want, don't be like, oh God, it doesn't work. It'd be like, okay, I just need to remind it. It's a bit, think of it a bit like a toddler or something, just needs a lot of guidance. Okay, so let's look at how this works in practice. So I'm going to go to Claude first, and I'll do Chat GPT afterwards. So the kind of the base of everything in my mind, and like how I've put this together, is these three pieces. So once you've got your brand voice, which is your core content, you just want to paste it in here. So I've just got some examples in here that I thought were a good fit for the voice, and then just give it a name. The messaging matrix, once you finish that, will just be a document, and you can paste it in here. And the same with your brand stories. So obviously these pieces can be updated over time. You can add to them, you can edit them, as things evolve. But if you kind of just think of them as your kind of foundation of the voice and of your messaging. And then I've got a couple of prompts in there that I will let you use AI for. So once you've got these three bits, you can then ask it to analyze your voice and give you a brand voice analysis. And this can just be really useful because now we're starting to now we are starting to use that feedback loop idea. Because and I would still say, like, read through it, edit it, pull out anything that's not quite right. And then when you're happy that, yeah, that's a good analysis overview of my brand voice, pop that back in. And then the same with the customer personas. You might have this already. You know, it's the kind of thing we've all done umpteen times in the past, like, who's my ideal client, whatever. So if you've got that stuff and you're already happy with it, you can upload it. Otherwise, there's a prompt in the course where, based on the messaging matrix, it will give you like some personas. And personas are like marketing terms, are like just the different types of people that you're talking to. It's not like just one sort of generic person. You'll have probably lots of different personas of different types of people who are good for your stuff. And then, right, what was my next step? I'm trying to remember now. And then once you've got this piece, so I'm just going to take you through an overview of a couple of like the frameworks that you've got in here. But as you can see, there is tons, and you know, it's all organized and you can go through it in your own time. And also, like Nicola's done, if you've probably got a hard drive full of like copywriting frameworks and templates that you've bought or been given over the years. But, you know, once this is a system, so you can apply it to any resources that you've got already. So I've already uploaded this. I'm going to get it to write a sales page for me. So just at the front here, these general frameworks, I couldn't work out where else to put them. But basically, these are templates that I had on my hard drive. So I had this template. It's just like loads and loads of headline templates that I used to use when I was working for clients to give me ideas for headlines. This risk reversal is like different ways of saying like a money back guarantee. So again, this is just kind of just giving it some focused guidance on how I want it to like pull some pieces into the sales page. And then the other thing I've uploaded, so I've got the headlines and that, and then the framework for a sales page. Oh God, this thing's driving me nuts. All right, let me just move that. Where are they? So under the sales page tab. So I've created, again, these are frameworks that I've used depending on the different offers that you've got. So if it's a one-to-one offer, it's different to a group program, which is slightly different to maybe an online course, which is slightly different to a digital product. They're quite similar, but you know, quite often just the nuances of what's on a page for these different things is different. So I've created frameworks for them. And then the idea, so if I go through this one, is that I've created these step-by-step workflows for you to follow. Okay, and each one of them is a very, very similar workflow. And as I say, you can adapt it to stuff that you've got. So to write a sales page for your one-to-one offer, you need to have uploaded to your knowledge base. Knowledge base is this project piece in Claude. So in this case, we want the headline templates, we want the risk reversal guarantees, and we want the framework like template for the sales page, which, in case you haven't looked at it, will just look something like this. It's just Google Doc hell, isn't it? I'm sorry, but it's practical, it works. So it's just like step by step, here's what I want you to put on this sales page. And then it will ask for some information about your offers, about the offer that you're thinking of. And it's just a few simple questions. So in this instance, you know, I'm going to do an example. And this is all you really need to give it. It's kind of like a copywriting brief that I would have given to clients, but way like light. Because we've got so much information already in the project base with like the messaging matrix and the personas and all that kind of stuff. This can be enough. If it's not quite right, then, you know, go back and flesh it out, but this can be your starting point. And then once you've uploaded everything to the project, then it's the prompt becomes really, really simple. Sorry. My brain. Okay. So I've got my frameworks in here. I've got all that there. So now I'm just going to put the prompt here on the left, which is, this is the chat. This is where you're asking it to do something. And this is kind of the logic of it all. So even if you don't have to, like the whole prompt engineering thing, like it has to literally be a prompt that says this and this and this. I'm increasingly finding isn't necessary. It's the logic that's important. These models are so smart, like, you know, you just need to talk to it and tell it what you want. And so the kind of logic of this is like telling it what you want it to write, like what framework you want it to follow if you've got one. It's usually good to have something, but maybe that's just my kind of copywriter sort of anal, you know, got to do it my way kind of thing. Then paste your offer details here. So I'm just going to say, I'm just going to make something up really quickly. You would put a bit more thought into this. So a one-to-one offer, I don't know, power hour for entrepreneurs. So it's an accountant. And at the end of it, I don't know, what would an accountant, is anyone an accountant? Get your tax ready before the deadline. I don't know. That's a terrible brief. You would try a little bit harder, but I think even with this, it's still going to do an all right job. And then I'm asking it to use the headline templates. I'm asking it to pull language and ideas from the messaging matrix so it can go in and have a look. If it doesn't get it quite right, you could always go in and make a judgment and be like, actually, I want to talk about this particular point or something. So, you know, you can always, you know, use it to help you with your ideas as well. I'm just going to say write for all the personas. Use my brand voice. Make sure you pay attention. So I tend to put this in most of the prompts now to just remind it about the brand voice. And so now, don't let me down, Claude. Not let me down before doing it live. It should write a pretty good sales page. Because I asked it to give me 5 headlines and subheadlines. So then that's just because you want the few to choose from. I would say it is following the brand voice. Stop panic scrolling. See, I think that's a really good headline. And it's in the snarky brand voice, you know. So anyway, I mean, we don't have to read it all, but you can see it's going through, it's following the framework, which is give me a testament, pull out, you know, talk about the pain points, talk about the how they're going to feel at the other side of this, introduce the offer, what we're going to do, is giving step by step. Now, I've not given it any information, so because these tools are so smart, it's just going to make stuff up. So sometimes that's good, because if you're not super clear 100% of what your offer might be, then this can be a good exercise to go through, and it might give you some ideas. If you are very clear on what it needs to look like, then you just need to interact and say, no, actually, it's this, this, and this. Who it's for, who it's not for, about me. So we've taken that because we've given it our brand stories. That's why that piece is important. So it's got something to pull from. Some FAQs, the investment. Okay, so that's following that framework I've given it. If you just went in and said, write me a sales page, I'm almost guaranteed that it wouldn't follow a proper framework like that. Okay, so are there any questions? Oh, my husband's an accountant. Oh well, don't tell him what I just did. Oh, sorry, Jackie, that's a good idea. I didn't see that. Okay, see you, Dale. Okay, so I guess my question before I continue is not so much like, are you blown away by the sales page or anything, but more, does the logic of it make sense? The logic of what I'm trying to do here with the project. Oh God, has that just changed in real time? That looks different.
Yes, you're right. It did change in real time.
Oh, that's weird.
It's still 7. Yeah, it was 7%, and it's just got blocks instead of the list now.
Oh right, it's still all there. That's weird. Okay. But yeah, so does the logic make sense that, you know, you load things up into the project knowledge base and then you kind of do callbacks in your prompts rather than having to. I think this answers your question. I think it was Che about like not having big long chats that go on forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did. And it also looks like it's more information than I'm putting in there to make it sound more like me. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So if you've got that stuff that you love and you're like this, put it in there and try Claude. Honestly, I think you'll be like quite pleasantly surprised. Okay, cool. So now I just wanted to show a couple of other things. So that logic works, the frameworks for all the copy and content. But what I started building out as well is some other pieces to make it even more interesting. So I've added in these sales page checklists. So what you can do, so now it's written the sales page. I'm going to add this. I can grab it. Sorry, it's because I'm on Zoom. So this is a checklist.
You can use Control A.
Oh yeah, thank you. I actually know that. My brain's not working. All right, so I'm now going to add that to the project. Oops. As a workflow. And this is just my language. It's not like anything that, that makes any difference. And then, and in fact, what I'm going to do with this, so sometimes with Claude, it will put it in a little like window and you can press a button and it will just add it straight into the project. It's not done that here. So I'm just going to copy it. And I'm going to add that sales page in as well. And this is how you start building out your system. So as you're happy with your offers and your sales pages, you add them in here. And then again, you can just reference it because it's in there. You don't have to keep saying the same thing over and over again. What did it call it? Yeah, tax therapy power hour. Fine. Says it is on the tin. Okay, so I'm just going to add that as my sales page. And so now I've got my messaging checklist. So now I'll just say run workflow, sales page, messaging checklist on the sales page. Power. I mean, it won't get confused because there's not much in here. I think the more stuff you've got in there, the more you have to be a bit careful. But what I should do now is go through the sales page and give some feedback on how good like the messaging. And so now you can look through this and it's going to, pick out some gaps where you can make things stronger. So that's kind of cool. So, you can, this kind of thing, like this is like the workflows that I've been developing is like how to take things further. Sure, we can use frameworks to get it to write stuff. What workflows can I develop to kind of take things to the next level and to sort of automate some stuff, which I'm going to show you in a sec as well. Well, automating is possibly not exactly the right word, but to kind of get things done quickly. Thanks, Kathy. I'm going to catch the rest. Okay. Bye, Gemma. Bye, Jackie. Yes. So the question is, I have how do I separate an ongoing project, i.e. social media postings, content from others? Can you clarify what goes into just one project? So bye, Nicola. Yeah, it's dinner time for everyone, isn't it? So with the projects, you want just one project for your business. You don't want to create separate projects. So if I come out here to like my overall one, I've got one. This is the one for me, and then I made up this one as one that I can use for this training. And these, particularly in Claude, they're very like contained ecosystems, if that makes sense. So like there's no bleed between these. I mean, possibly if I tried really hard, if I was trying to reference something in here, it might pull it. But on the whole, it works well. This is how I use it anyway. Because if you create one that's just for social media and one that's for something else, you've got to make sure that you've put all this information into the project knowledge each time. I think Claude's having a meltdown. I wonder if it's just because I'm on Zoom. If you have a separate project, you're going to have to keep uploading the same information over and over again. And what I found with Claude is that the knowledge base is big enough that you can add loads and loads of stuff to it. So I found that one project from one business is the best way to use it, has been for me. Yes, exactly. We'll reference all the data from the project, but each space is separate. Yes, that's been my experience with Claude. Chat's different, and I'll show you that in a second. So just one more workflow I want to take you through. So I'm just going to ask Claude now, apart from the fact that it's having a little bit of a crisis, I'm just going to do something really generic. Write me a 500.
Kathy, you've actually got two projects that say tax therapy. I think you're in the other one.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. No. Back in the wrong one again.
That one.
Thank you. It was me having a meltdown. Okay. So can you write me just a 500 word post for Facebook? I mean, it will still, this is pretty generic. You know, it'll probably still do quite a good job, but I just sort of want to show you one thing. Okay, so it's written it. I still think it's doing a good job of doing the voice. Fab. Okay, so it's written me a piece of content. Now, I just want to show, so in here, I've got these automated workflows, for want of a better word, that I've been building out. So I'm going to show you this Instagram carousel one and how you can like apply this. So if we go in here, and each of these is kind of broken down into a script and then a prompt. So very similar to like the framework for a sales page, but in this case, it's a script. So I'm just going to grab the script, and essentially what I'm just saying, this is I kind of have given it a framework, but I'm asking it to do a job when I trigger this workflow, if that makes sense. So I'm going to add that as a workflow this time. I can't spell. So I'm adding that. And then, I mean, the prompt's pretty basic, I'm sure. It's probably just run the workflow. Yeah, okay. And so this is the piece of content that it wrote for me. And now I'm just going to ask it to, so for the above post, run the workflow Instagram carousel. So what it's going to do is take the post, take the framework, put them together and do this for me. So I've created these, so it's done these slides following the framework. So I've done these for, this is quite a simple one, but this kind of idea that I've created for like helping you with like your blogs and your SEOs. I use this for my YouTube all the time. So have a little dig around in here and, you know, ask me any questions when you're playing around with it. But I just kind of wanted to show you that, that you can do this in Claude, because I'm going to move over to ChatGPT now and show you how it works over there. And actually ChatGPT is kind of better at this kind of thing than Claude, to be honest, which is why I end up using both. All right. So I'm just going to turn the light on. It's getting dark. Before I continue, any questions? I'm aware it's been an hour.
Kathy, I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you know when to use Claude and when to use ChatGPT?
There's no hard and fast rule. I mean, like I said, I find if I want like a sales page or something, Claude just is so good at following the frameworks that's kind of my go-to. So like I'm in chat now, right? And it's got projects feature. and it's set up very similar way. So same idea, you put all your like your core stuff in here with all your voice and everything. I forgot to mention, but this is where the custom instructions go. And there's a similar thing in Claude. So this is where, the words and phrases you don't want it to use. But running the prompt in the same way, like doing what I just did in Claude, like here's my offer, here's the sales page framework, it doesn't work as well in chat. It just doesn't. I don't think it pulls the stuff out of the project files in the same way. I think the thinking behind it isn't the same. But beyond that, I just use both. I used to use Claude more, but because it kept throttling it, I was moving to chat more, and now I've kind of got used to using chat. But then I'm like, that's not really sounding great. I'm going to go back to Claude. So I just kind of bounce between them. But yeah, so here in chat, it's got this the similar project idea. So the logic of it's all the same. What I found is if say you wanted the sales page, that same idea, or like I've got a website one in there, a website framework that will write an entire website. I have to say it's quite cool if I do say so myself. And if you wanted to use chat for it and it's not playing ball, just literally copy paste the framework into the chat as you're going and it will follow it then. This project feature isn't as robust. But what it does have is custom GPTs, which are here on the left. So is anyone familiar with them? What are your thoughts, experiences, etc.?
So that's not the same as a project on ChatGPT, Kathy?
What, the custom GPT? Sorry. No.
Oh, okay. No, I'm not aware of them. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, so they're here. So we've got projects, and then all these ones, it's kind of confusing. The whole interface is confusing. So these are chats, like threads, threads that you're probably used to using. Then you've got the projects, and then these are the custom GPTs. So for example, I created this one. So this custom GPT has been set up to just do that sales page analysis that I just showed you as a workflow. So I'll just grab the sales page. Yeah, okay, so that's, oh God. All right, so if I grab the sales page, so let's say you've got your sales page from wherever. I've got too many things open again. Help. Okay, so it says what sales page. So I'm going to click for the GPT to kind of get going. And I think so when we're talking about the projects in Claude and like them sort of being separate and stuff, chat, I think one account like this is just one thing. Even though it's got the projects and the GPTs and everything, I think the whole thing just interacts with itself. It doesn't sort of separate things out in the same way. So I think my take on that is and that's why the more you use it, the better it gets, right? Is that people's experience with it? It's because it's getting to know you, and whether you're using a GPT, whether you're using a project, whether you're just using the chat, it's all in that one account. So it's all kind of feeding each other. So it's kind of good from that point of view, but I think the trade-off is that it's not, it can get confused as well. It's hard to get it to be specific, and pull the thing that you want it to pull. So sometimes you do have to just give it what you need. Okay, so I've put in my sales page, and in this one, I've put in the sales page audit and the messaging. So I'm going to say sales page audit. And now it's going to run through a checklist. I think it's having a little think. Okay, so while it's doing that, what I'm going to do once this is done is just show you under the hood of how you can create them. Hey, Demetra. Hello.
Hey, Kathy, how are you?
I'm good.
So happy to see you. I'm sure I'm just missing the most. You probably just explained this and it's totally obvious, so I'm really embarrassed to even ask it. But can you say why you took what you took from Claude and then you put it now in ChatGPT?
Not because that's a workflow. I'm just showing both tools. That's all it is.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah. So instead of going through the whole process again to get a sales page in chat, because you don't want me to do the whole thing again, I thought I'll just grab what I've got. Sorry, yeah.
I don't know the address, so I don't know what time.
All right. Sorry, give me one sec.
One thing that I've found that's helping with ChatGPT with all those projects is to save them, no, folders, or wait, they're called projects. But anyway, I save them as bookmarks in my browser. That's the only way I can, find them easily.
Sorry, is that the chats?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's just so there's no way to kind of navigate around in there. So I just found, for me anyway, bookmarks have been helpful.
Yeah. I mean, I think I need to look into this. I think there's some browser extensions now that allow you to kind of organize it as well.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, bookmarks, I love bookmarks. Okay, it's here on the left. Is that it? See, chat, you're not doing it. You're not working. See, Claude didn't let me down. Anyway, I don't know. I think it might be that we're on. I'd run this earlier and it was fine. Let's just do the messaging review and see. But again, that's why I've given you everything as framework. So if the AI tool doesn't work, you could just go grab it and do it yourself. I don't know. It's not working. I don't think it likes being on Zoom. Sorry, I've just got to go get the kids and
Let's just take the phone.
yeah. All right, let's go back. Where was it? Okay. So in order to I'll show you another one in a sec, but in order, actually, maybe we'll just go straight to that because that one didn't play very well. So I've done the Instagram one as well. So to create the Instagram carousel. So again, I'm just going to go grab the piece of content that was written, which I think is this one.
The most important thing that
Who was that?
Sorry, that was me. Nothing.
Okay.
My video played from it wasn't, I wasn't.
Oh, I see. Sorry. Okay.
My video. I'm trying to upload the replay of a class that I just did and it started playing. I apologize.
Okay, no worries. Okay, so here's another one I've built. So again, it's that same idea, the Instagram carousels, it's the same kind of workflow, but because we're in chat, we can create a custom GPT to do it. So then I'm going to paste in the content and it's going to follow that same framework that I've given it. But see how chat starts putting in like the little emojis and everything, even though I've told it not to, and I tell it not to all the time. And this is what I mean by the voice with chat. Like it just is not 100%. But also for a while I was just like, oh, I love Claude, I hate chat. But then I was like, okay, look, let's be realistic. It's not that hard to take out a few emojis or to ask it to rewrite something a little bit differently. But that's again coming back to why it's important that you know what your brand voice is so that you know what you need it to do or to change. And so if you to build this, it's here in the edit GPT. And I don't know if you can see, but and this is a very straightforward kind of basic one. Also give it a name, description, and then it's here in the instructions that you get it to do the thing that you want it to do. So you tell it what role you want it to take. Under context, I've just pasted in that framework. And then the instructions are just the step-by-step what you want it to do. These can get way more complicated and you can get them doing other sort of tasks and stuff for you. I just kind of wanted to show you an overview of how it works. And so, you could the limit on these I found, because, you know, part of me is like, well, just upload everything into a GPT, like all the frameworks, all the, you know, everything. But again, I did try that, and I just found there's a limit. There's a limit of how many files you can upload for a start. So let's say I wanted to put in all the sales page frameworks and all the social media. So it's all in there. There's a limit to how many you can do. And also I found that if you ask it to do too many things, it just gets a bit confused. So if you did want a GPT or GPTs, my take on it at this point is like create them. How do I get out? To just do like jobs for you. And so like the one that I use all the time that I've created, where am I, is my YouTube one. So this YouTube workflow, every time I publish a YouTube video, I just get the transcript, I come in here, it's just, I've built it, it does what I want, and I've got everything I need in seconds. I don't even have to think about it anymore because I did all the thinking when I built it, if that makes sense. Okay. Anna, what is it, Anna or Anna? Sorry, it's Anna, right?
Yeah, Anna is fine.
Yeah.
My family calls me Anita.
Anita.
Yeah, I'm not. Kathy, so apologies if you discussed this previously, but just for me to understand, why would you set up a custom GPT and not just folders?
Because, well, you don't have to.
Okay.
But the reason I've done this one, for example, is that I've just got so if we look in here, so
We
I've built
don't
this.
see your screen at the moment. Sorry.
You don't?
No,
Oh.
I only see you. Do the others see?
I can see Kathy's
Yes,
screen.
I can.
Yes.
I can see your screen, Kathy.
Oh, sorry. Let me see. Did I change the view? I have it on speaker, and now I see Michelle.
But can you not?
Change it to standard.
Oh no, it's funny. Zoom change, apologies. Now I just hit something called Kathy's screen and it came up. I don't know what happened. Sorry.
That's okay. What was the question? Oh yeah. So yeah, if I look behind the scenes here, where's it gone? Right. So basically, I built this one because every time, so there are pieces of the description and everything that I want to have in my YouTube videos, and I found it easier to just come in here and load everything once. So what I've got in here is, this is the step-by-step instruction that I want it to do. So I'm asking it to like write the description, but then this is the snippet I always want it to include. Here's the hashtags I always want it to include. Here's the like videos I want it to share. So I've basically just been able to upload all that stuff in one place without having to like ever do it over and over again or think about it or find it. And if I need to update it, I just come in here and update it. And so for me, that's been the reason why I would create custom GPTs for myself. It's like, is there a job that it can do? So like, how do I get out of this? So if you want, you know, you could create one, and, you know, this is probably something I will do when I have 5 minutes to sit down and do it, but I'm going to create some for sales pages because the GPT does a better job of like following the instructions, whereas in the projects, like I said, unfortunately, it just doesn't as well. So you end up having to do a lot of the same stuff over and over. Does that make sense?
Sure. No, I'll give it a try. I've just been using projects. I didn't really know about the custom, but I can look.
I mean, you don't have to, obviously. It's just like another sort
But
of.
I know what you're saying. It sometimes forgets the instructions I put into the project. Like I have to remind it, this is the voice that I want to use.
Yeah.
So, okay, got it. I'll check that out. Thank you.
Do you know where you're going?
Best thought. Yeah, I don't know. She hasn't got back to me yet.
Well, it's oh, you've got her number.
Yeah, I've got her number on my phone. WhatsApp to her, she hasn't got back to me yet.
Okay.
But hopefully she got this best thought, right?
No. Sorry, everyone. So we've got to go get the kids. Oh, it's basically near the school.
Yeah.
So where's the school? Morley,
Yeah. No, she's got it. She's got
you got
it.
it? Okay, sorry. Um, okay, sorry, where were we? Okay, well, I'm done. So have you got any questions or anything you want me to go through? I might even stop sharing. Oh God, there's stuff in the chat.
Kathy, I've got a question about I've, as you know, I've changed my business quite a bit since the last few months. So do you think it's worth setting up a new project in Claude for the new stuff, to start fresh?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, probably. I would. I
Yeah.
would actually, because they're kind of such different audiences, offer not different audiences,
Yeah.
but different offers and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Good question. Yeah. Anyone else? Is there anything in the chat?
I have a question.
Yes. Who was that? Sorry.
Dimitra.
Oh, hello.
Hi. Okay, so about the projects in ChatGPT, what I did is I created folders for my different courses. And, I teach in different niches, right? I have the
Yep.
food and the language. So maybe this is a mistake. Maybe I should have all the food things together and all the language. But basically, I felt it was so overwhelming that there wasn't any structure. So for example, I have this verbs course. So I made so many worksheets and I have so much stuff just for the verbs course that I decided to put that in a separate project. But because I used most of and up until now, I've used ChatGPT and Claude ChatGPT especially mostly for worksheets and quizzes and content creation for my students, and not so much for marketing. It seemed to make sense to me because, like, I have those projects, let's say, that are match with my courses. But do you think that that's a mistake because, in terms of like, then ChatGPT doesn't know that all those things actually go together in one umbrella, or it
No.
doesn't matter?
Yeah, I think in ChatGPT it doesn't matter. So like my take on it and like just kind of seeing how other people are using it as well is that it's just basically ChatGPT is kind of the equivalent to a Claude project, if that makes sense. So you get your one account and it's its own system. And I think the projects, although they've set them up because they didn't used to exist, so they've kind of mirrored what
Yeah.
Claude's got, but I don't think they work in the same way. So I think although it looks like that, I think essentially the projects are probably, you can use them the way you are, to organize stuff and maybe create one that's got all your brand voice and stuff in it, because it kind of references the whole ecosystem whenever you're using it. And then, yes, yeah, does that answer your question? And I think when you're writing
Yeah.
the marketing copy, like it will get confused, and you'll probably just have to keep letting it know, specifically what you want it to do. But it will have all that, it basically will have all that knowledge there that it can draw upon in terms of all your content and worksheets and stuff. So it will know what it is that you're teaching, which is actually valuable, in terms of like writing your sales copy.
Yeah, it's very funny, this erratic nature, because, for example, I don't keep saying that it's Greek language, right? I'll just say, make a thing for my students for verbs with blah, blah, blah. And and I'm always kind of astonished, like, oh, it knows what I want.
Yeah,
And then
because it's in your
yesterday,
world. Yeah.
yeah, but then all of a sudden yesterday, it was like, well, but I don't know what language you're asking for, so I'll just assume it's Russian. And I couldn't get out of this Russian thing. And I was like, oh, that's creepy.
That's annoying. Oh yeah, I mean,
No,
oh
I mostly told you that to like give an example of the erratic nature of what it remembers and forgets, and also just for your amusement.
yeah, no, it is annoying. But it'll probably be fine the next day. And maybe what you could try with that is to paste one of your worksheets in, one of the Greek worksheets, into that chat and say, no, this is what we're doing. And it might just kind of knock it back into understanding what you're
Yeah.
doing again. because I think the chat is the kind of the live element, and so anything you put in there is the thing that it goes to first. So if you think, and then anything else is like knowledge that it's got, that it kind of is trying to make the best guess what piece it wants, but that you want, but it doesn't always get it right. Why does everyone keep moving around? Like you're there, now you're here.
My other question is, how do we know we have the most updated Airtable base?
That's always your question.
Well, how can you blame me? Because every time I showed it to you, you would say, oh, I've updated it since then.
Because you're not meant to make a copy, you just bookmark it. Don't
Oh,
save down a copy, just bookmark it.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So when you open it, I know it says copy base, don't just bookmark the link.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't know why.
Or just go, yeah.
I don't know why I had an old one when I was showing it to you. Maybe I don't know. But okay, I understand.
No, also, actually, no, I'm not being fair on you. Um, version 2 of the course has got a new base. So you'd need to go in and then bookmark that one.
Okay.
I'll message you.
I won't ask again.
That's okay.
Thank you.
I'm waiting for the modules. So I've done the intro piece. I don't know how deep I'm going to go into them because they're kind of like once you set it up, it's just a matter of doing it really. Like beyond, you can take the frameworks or any of your own stuff. Each one's individual. Does that make sense? I'm talking to you, Gosha, sorry.
Yeah, kind of like today when you went through how you have it set up, so this gave me some ideas, and I will just try to set the custom GPTs.
Yeah.
Although my question would be like, because then you embed them, these custom GPTs, you embed them on your website, which I found really brilliant. So is this like a feature in chat or?
No, that's using a different tool. That's using a completely different tool. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good to know. So I will try the custom ones as well. So far, using projects really worked for me. I really could see that moving to projects was very beneficial in terms of the brand voice and like understanding what I do and stuff like that. Yeah.
Do you mean in Claude or in chat or in both?
I can only use chat because Claude isn't available in Poland yet. So.
Oh really? Oh right. No.
No.
Yeah. Oh right. Okay, I didn't know that. How do you separate clients in there then? So do you mean in chat or in Claude?
In chat. In chat.
I don't think you can. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they've set it up so that one account that you're paying for, you can only use like for one thing.
Yeah.
But whereas Claude, each project you could I use it for different clients, have projects for different clients. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anna, I think it's Anna, asked, who has anyone used custom GPT? I have set up a few, and this is in chat. I've set up a few that focus on my ideal client. So, like a newly trained business analyst, an experienced business analyst. And it works quite well. But there are times when chat forgets that I want an experienced business analyst and it will just include the new business analyst. So there's times when I get frustrated with chat and then I go back to Claude. It's, and you know what I'm like, Kathy, when I'm frustrated. It just, and I don't like all the emojis it throws in, and where I clearly state don't use it.
No.
And there are times, and I don't have time to sit around and remove all the emojis, etc., and the 5 asterisks.
You can you can ask it. So I just say, can you write this again, take out the emojis?
That's true. But then I'm telling it to do something twice.
Yeah, well, And its keep.
Yeah.
And I've also tried to ask it, I'd say something like replace the M dashes, M dashes, replace the M dashes with a colon or take them out, which I think it loves M dash. I've seen people talking about this. It's just like, it's really stubborn about them. But you can do a quick find and replace Google Doc to get rid of them. But yeah, it's frustrating, and Claude doesn't do that. Claude, I haven't seen an emoji in Claude in 9 months.
Yeah. Do you have a list of those crazy phrases or one word that ChatGPT uses that clearly identifies that it's an AI generated content?
So I've included in the course, in the brand voice module, a copy of the one I'm using of my custom instructions. So that's the ones that I ask it to not use, that I've identified as being AI gives or tells.
Yeah.
So you can use that. And then, I mean, yeah. Yeah. And then I'll just add to it if anything comes up.
Yeah. But do you find that sometimes it actually ignores what's in there?
Not Claude, chat does.
Chat does. I mean, I hate bridging the gap.
Yeah. And here's the kicker. It just, I've told it.
You.
Yeah. Yeah. But I've also, again, if chat's not doing as good a job as you want it to, again, I will just like take the brand voice and paste it in and say, look, here's the voice. Can you just write that again? And it will do like a better job. And take out those weird phrases, because it's almost like it forgets and it goes off and it goes back to what it knows best, whatever that is. And if you just in the direct chat give it the thing that it needs, I know it's only in the moment, which is frustrating. But yeah, you can work with it. And again, I think it's like aligning expectations. I was talking about this with someone the other day, that we've gone from not having these tools, right, to getting to a point where it's like, if it's not 100% exactly as I want it, I'm really annoyed with this tool. And it's like, it didn't exist like 2 years ago. I think, yeah. But I think as humans, this is our thing, isn't it? It's like, you give us an inch, we take a mile. It's like.
And for me, it's been in the tech world as a technical business analyst.
Yeah.
And I know how to build an app, and I know how to build it to such to be so good that I expect it to be educated enough to do exactly what I've told it to do.
But remember, I mean, again, I don't know exactly, but these aren't apps, and it's not programming language. And that's the thing, like there's a temptation to try and do the whole, because I know enough code to be a little bit dangerous, or I used to if I've forgotten it all. And it's not like that. It is conversational, and it's just guessing. It's making like an educated guess of what the next letters should be. Like, it's a language model. It's not a computer, and I think just trying to remember that, just sort of being a little bit aware of how it works. It's just making a really best guess of that's why it's in tokens and stuff. Like, it can't count. Like, I tried to get it to do some dates for me the other day, and it's rubbish at dates. It's rubbish at counting. It's really hard to get it to count words or paragraphs and stuff, because it doesn't know how to do that. So it's definitely, there's definitely gaps in its capabilities.
Yeah. It's great for ideas, but that's all I use it for. I like my Claude.
You're like, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, Claude's very good at writing. Okay. I have a few. Is the brand strategy? Yes. So everything I talked about today is in the copywriter in your pocket version 2.0. Some people might have 2 versions. The base Che is in. I'll show you actually. I'll share my screen. So when you're logged in, this is it here. I'm on Zoom, so it's wigging out a bit. It should look blue. I don't know, it's not loading properly. But there we go. So where have I put everything? There. So the way the logic here, my logic is this is just an overview of kind of some of the things we talked about today, the differences between the two platforms. This is pretty much all the stuff we did today, just in more detail about all your brand voice. And then this is an overview of the copy of the Airtable base with all the frameworks, and that's where you'll find the link. So if you click here and click here, then that will open this. And then if you just bookmark that, don't copy it, because if you copy it, you lose the connection back to the original. But if you ever need to go back to it, just come back in here and it's there. What I need to do is create a course buddy of my own for this, which I've not gotten around to. Do as I say, not as I do. And then, so yeah, this is just like an overview. So again, a little bit like what we've done today. And then this is each of these matches up to these tabs. So this is an overview, what the workflows are, you know, there's just like videos and sort of how to use them. Obviously, I've not done a video for every single framework because that would be insane, but the sales page lesson will kind of give you the overview of how to do it all, and then you can choose which ones you want from in here, and the same with the content plan and so on. So it should all match up. And then, oh, that should be done. Oh, maybe I didn't upload. Oh God, I'm so sorry. I loaded that up ages ago. I've obviously left it in draft. All right, I'll sort that out. Sorry, that should be live. There should be some lessons in there. Okay. So does that help?
Thank you. Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Cool, guys. Anything else while we're here? I can't believe I did an hour and a half and I'm still conscious.
Okay, I have a question and I'm so embarrassed to ask it. I'm in your course or
Yeah.
in the copywriter in your blog, and I'm scrolling down the left and I don't see the place where it says Airtable.
Okay. I'll tell you what, when we hop off, I'll go have a look and see what you've got, and I'll message you. Make sure that you've got what you need.
Okay, it just says start here, and this is phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Just you were just showing it. Maybe if I had seen it, I would have. But anyway, okay, thank you.
It's here under, so there, it's that. Oh, sorry, I'm not sharing my screen.
It's under phase 3.
Yeah.
It's under phase 3. Okay. See, I was always just looking for it. Thank you.
It's here. Can you see it?
I just feel like that should have a module of its, like it should be in the column, because it's the thing that gives you all the things.
Yeah, so I could move that if that's easier.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's foundational to the whole thing.
So I could put it up here. I could leave it there and put it here, so it's in
You're going to end up putting it there just so I stop asking.
It's fine.
I think that's helpful too, Demetra. So thanks for
Thank
raising
you.
that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I
you.
can leave a copy of it there. I guess in my
Back
mind
me
it was
up.
kind of like you don't need those until you've done the other bits. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's a bit putting the cart before the horse. But obviously, once it's set up and you want easy access to it, it makes sense to have it at the top. So, no, cool, fine. I love feedback. And you know, structuring these things is, you know, I've been doing it in my own world for so long. So, you know, it's just my brain completely.
I have one other question, and I see that Anna asked a similar question. She wrote that she has several of your courses, and it's the same with me. I have a lot of your other courses, and I'm just wondering now, with Copywriter in your pocket, is that kind of like, I don't want to say replace the others,
No,
but
it kind of has, yeah. So a lot of that stuff is being kind of moved into this. I've not retired them, like got rid of them, because in case, you know, there's something in there. it's kind of like the evolution, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you built those before
AI.
for AI. So
Yeah. Yeah. Mova's pointed that out as well. It's some housekeeping I need to do at some point. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming.
You know what? I was trying to find a file, a PDF that I had made for my students a couple of weeks ago, and I was searching like for 20 minutes for this file. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I could probably just ask ChatGPT to make this thing for me and it would make it in 1 second. And that's exactly what I did. So
Yeah.
it was easier for me to recreate it than find my file.
Yeah.
New world. It's a
Yeah,
new
new
world.
world. Exactly. Yeah. Can you tell us which? No, Mova. I can't. I mean, I would say anything that's templates or I'd say mainly anything that's templates has been definitely moved into being AI-ified. A lot of the other stuff is actually like not there's probably still relevant in terms of like what's the word? It's like theory, if you know what I mean. Because all this course is really not all, but the bulk of it is like to set up the tool, set up a system, and yeah, just basically turn all my old templates into AI. But I do need to have a look at one point. Hi, Parmini. Sorry, I just saw you there.
Hello, hi, good evening.
You're just quietly lurking.
I am joined a bit late, so I'm a bit embarrassed, but I realized a recording of it all, so I can catch up later. But yeah, look, the main thing for me takeaway is I'm looking to get AI and sort of obviously moving forward in terms of my business at ground level. So we're almost developing a new department that's got a whole lot of AI resources if they were on the organization chart. So for me, the projects was the most compelling part of it all. I've run all my testimonials and everything into the business. It's unreal. I tested it with my business coach and I had a little bit of imposter syndrome. And I said to him, look, from here on, can we just assume that I'm using it as a tool to help? So it's a positioning exercise both for him. So now he's changed his tune and says it's amazing. It's amazing the content you can produce, but knowing and feeding it over the years. So I've got really looking forward to it. The course. I have to say, it's amazing value for what you've done. It's personally, you're underpricing it. Add another zero to that and you can get away with it. You really can.
All
So
right. Okay. Thank you. I'm
Don't
gonna quote you on
tell her
that.
that.
so it's okay. So the value is unreal, really.
It is. It is.
Oh, thank you. Because I always deeper nose. I'm always like, oh, it's just obvious, obviously.
Sounds to me like a great testimonial for Kathy to put on her website copy. Add a zero and it's still super valid.
Yeah, exactly.
Brackets didn't use Claude to write the testimonial.
No, don't use Claude to write your testimonials.
Exactly.
That was one of my points. Yeah.
Actually, Kathy, just one last question from my part. If and let me know if it's in there somewhere. But I have some beautiful talking about testimonials, thankfully, lovely testimonials from my clients. And one of the things I'd like to think about is smarter ways to incorporate that in posts rather than just post the quote and stuff.
Yeah.
Is there any prompt you suggest to help me to do that?
I mean, I would personally just take the testimonials as a starting point and just talk to it as if you would basically ask it the question you've asked me. So
Sure.
I want to write a post using this, but not just literally, having the quote. You could try, actually it's not entirely true. So in some of the frameworks, the like the storytelling frameworks that I've got in there, you could use some of those and ask it to kind of weave the testimonial into that storytelling framework. Something like that might be an interesting way to kind of do that. Yeah, because that's the value. And again, coming back to the customer language, like testimonials are good, But when you can turn it into a story, it grabs people's attention more. But because it's come from an actual experience, it will resonate with people. Again, we're going back to fundamentals of like copywriting. It's like that high level generic way of writing, whether a human does it or an AI does it, just doesn't grab people's attention. But if you can talk to like the small moments in people's lives, they're like, oh yeah, no, that's me. I can relate to that. Like that's actually what's going on in my life. I mean, I should think of an example would make more sense, but
I understand. Something that, just as a little tip, what's helped me is after my work with clients, I send them a Google survey, and in there I specifically ask, how did you feel before our work? And then after, and then separately the testimonial, and it's quite different, the feedback I get. So I just now need to put in the work of doing that.
Well, do you know another way, if your clients to get good testimonials, ask if they'll do a video testimonial.
Okay.
Even if it's not recorded, even if they don't want to do it as an official testimonial, get on a call with them, because when people talk, it's very different than when they write. And then you've got those genuine words again that you can feed into it, and those questions, and you've got that actually in. Oh no, I've put it in. It's in the voice of customer lesson.
Okay.
How to like get that language from a testimonial, and it's basically what you're doing. How did you feel? Again, A to B. How did you feel before? How do you feel now? What was it like working with me? Or ask them to do an audio note if they're up for that.
Okay, I love that idea. Audio note. I hadn't thought about that. Thank you.
It's okay. Dimitra, you gonna ask me again? No, I'm joking.
I promise it's a different topic. I'm really hoping to get myself to post videos in YouTube.
Yes, do it.
So I was just looking, I was inspired by your GPT for your YouTube workflow. So I'm just wondering, like, are building GPTs for your own personal things something that you have to figure out your own workflow, or do you have workflow suggestions for GPTs? If that question makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. Deborah could answer this. No, because that's what we've been working on together. I mean, I've got like a few kind of core pieces that I put into it, and when I actually make the video live that I've already created, apologies, it should be in there. But it's essentially telling it what job you want it to do, giving it the context. So in the YouTube example, it's like the framework, like title, the description, followed by the time codes, followed by the hashtags or whatever. So you're telling it, and I put that under a heading of context. And then I have custom instructions, which is just the like step by step. So, paste in the transcription, then follow the framework I've given you, add in it, whatever it is. So kind of high level, that's sort of how I do them. But then depending on what you want it to do, it can get quite complicated.
So I've set up something, not with YouTube, but with the transcripts from my live courses in Zoom. So I'll do a class, but the way I've set it up is not as a GPT, but as in Zapier. I've said, when I have a transcript, put it in Google Drive, and then take that and put it in ChatGPT. And I have this series of steps using Zaps to end up with making a worksheet. Like I say, make a worksheet that allows students to practice what they learned in this class, and then make a quiz. And all of that is using Zaps, going back and forth between, the original transcript, etc. And so when you had that workflow in YouTube or in ChatGPT, I was just wondering, maybe I could do something like that. But no, yours is all in one. Yeah, I don't know. My brain went like ricocheting when I saw that.
So what you're talking about, I haven't got my head around yet. So can you show me?
We can have a session if you want. Yeah. I just recently wrapped my head around it. It took me.
Yeah, no, because and I mean, if you're hooking it into, did you say you're incorporating it with chat? So you're hooking it into a custom GPT or into?
I just have it, put it into chat. And then I've given the prompts in Zapier, like in Zapier, it's set up that when this transcript goes to chat, create a worksheet in this framework, and then also create a quiz, and then put that in Google Drive.
Perfect.
And it's amazing, but
yeah,
it just made me think about custom
I mean,
GPT.
yeah, I mean, it would do the same. So, I mean, it's the same logic. It's just instead of build the worksheet, it's fill out the YouTube framework.
But you did that with the custom GPT versus using Zapier, like a workflow with Zapier.
Yeah.
And it takes me a long time to digest these things in my brain.
Well, arguably using it with Zapier is more powerful because it's putting it somewhere at the end of it as well, isn't it?
Yeah, because I was doing it manually with chat. And so I was trying to.
Yeah. The advantage of, so if you're not using a custom GPT for that, the advantage of doing that with a custom GPT in that middle bit is that in the custom GPT, that's where you can like have the you know, like brand voice, or you can upload documents and stuff so that it's a more, you know, it's not just, you know, it's a more robust or more kind of complex tool. So
yeah,
on the task
maybe I could.
But maybe I don't know, because if you're just attaching it to your own chat GPT account, then like we've discussed, it's all in there anyway, isn't it? As far as I can tell, like it should be able to pull. I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to brainstorm.
Maybe I'm actually using OpenAI for it. Now I don't even,
it's
only like when I'm in the zone that I can actually figure out what I'm doing.
Yeah, you're probably in like using your API key to
Yes,
OpenAI.
I am, because I'm using tokens. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas a custom GPT is a similar process, but it will go into that world, if you like, with all your stuff that's in there.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Kathy. You're amazing. You're just the copywriter in your pocket is amazing, and your live support is amazing, and you're just amazing.
Thank you.
We love you.
Thank you all for coming. So I wasn't talking to myself.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.